Awesome. And we have a new module of the week that I'm looking forward to hearing about. What do you got for us, Martin?
So this week, we're going to be talking about Entity Autocomplete Anchor, which is actually a module that was nominated by one of our listeners and a previous guest on the show, Mathieu, who is himself a maintainer of a number of interesting and useful modules. So Entity Autocomplete Anchor really provides a widget that allows a content author to basically add an anchor to an entity reference link. It's a module that was just created earlier this year in April of 2022. Currently, it has a 1.0 beta 3 release that supports Drupal 9, and the most recent release was released in May 24th of this year. It's not widely used. It's currently shows 9 sites using it, but it does list the United Nations as a supporting organization.
That's a clue. That's a clue about the scale of the sites that are probably using it.
Exactly. So in terms of how it works, it basically has your sort of standard autocomplete entity reference field, but it adds a field to specify an anchor, so a destination within the page where a user will be taken, when they click on that link. It's also worth noting that if someone is already using the Link It module, which was mentioned briefly in last week's show and was actually covered, I think, as module of the week in episode 327, there actually is an RTBC issue about adding anchor support to Link It. So if your site is already using that module, then you might be able to sort of add some of this capability there as well. So maybe just open it up to the group here. Has anybody had to use this kind of anchor linking strategy with entity reference links, or maybe had other sort of very specific linking needs in a Drupal site they've worked on?
Well, the funny thing is, we don't do anything like this from a technical point of view, but it could be potentially pretty useful because, on Drupal.org's documentation system, we're automatically generating these anchor links across documentation sections and groups, and all these groups, of course, are based on entity reference. So when we're moving people around the contributor guide or module documentation or things like that, I feel like something like this actually could be a big time saver. So that could be cool. Yeah, that's neat. It seems like it's one of those great examples of something that seems like such a small feature, but is actually super, super useful. So,
yeah, I mean, it solves I have workaround solutions for this for a lot of clients where just the template outputs the ID and some sort of thing so that the customer can create anchor links to things when they need to, but that you're using the ID in that case, which is a messy. You never want to go to an anchor link that's comp-14772, right? This allows and they're outputting that for every single component on the page when it's template level, right? Whereas this allows you, if they need the anchor link, they can create it and they can put some marketing behind it. They can name it whatever they need to name it. So it looks nice. So I'll actually be looking at installing this for a couple of clients right away. It's also got more, I don't know when you wrote these notes, but it's got 13 websites now. So it's almost a 50% increase.
Some additional nations saw that the UN was using it and decided, hey, let's add this to the Ireland.gov site.
Honestly,
which I'm not sure.
It really could be, just because one of the things I really wish we had in our stats was the size of the sites and not just the number of sites, because these days that's often a more important indicator with the scale that some of these Drupal sites are at.
And the support.
Yeah. I can say I'm absolutely going to use this. I've got a client right now who was asking about making internal links to be able to link deep on a page. And we're like, well, we can totally do that, but it's going to be a little bit janky. And this might make it a lot less janky. So I'm looking forward to being number 14.
So this may be a dumb question, so brace yourselves, listeners, and everybody else. Does it allow you to kind of link to kind of any ID on the page, or is it specifically just, do you need to place an anchor within your content in order to go to that point?
Excellent question. I mean, to my knowledge, it's really a text field. So potentially you could maybe try and do, sometimes in Google search results, it uses this weird sort of very custom format that I don't know if other browsers besides Chrome work with it, but basically it allows linking to specific text within a page. So theoretically you might be able to get that to work, but I think it's really designed for sort of more traditional.
Yeah, there's a list of supported attributes from the link attributes widget, which I assume would all be compatible with this, and that's got ARIA labels and titles and access keys and all sorts of more obscure stuff.
So I wonder if you're using this, going back to our show last week with the CK editor guys, I mentioned the anchor widget within CK editor. I'm wondering if like you would necessarily need this in order to complement this module to be able to put anchors into your content as you were writing it.
It's a thought.
Work well together, yeah.
Site number 14 will tell us, right?
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Martin, for this suggestion. I actually might watch the usage statistics on this one for the first time just to see, to watch it tick up. But yeah, excellent module of the week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and if any listeners have other modules that they want to nominate, by all means, drop them in the Talking Drupal channel on Drupal Slack.